The species begins the day hoping somebody might surmount the insurmountable and ends the day owning a mindset conscious of knowing that the focus, perceptions, and awareness residing within her, fellow human beings dream towards new projects, which reside beyond the re-established level of possibility. Everyone houses, or everyone is, one of infinite possibilities that infinite consciousness has elected to express itself as within the tiny band of light we call reality. The universe sees infinite consciousness as an equal to infinite consciousness. I cannot imagine or attempt to believe that the universe sees it any other way, such as infinite consciousness is less than infinite consciousness, or our reality produces manifestations of our wildest creations, wherein exists the inevitable despair of devastation. Residing at all times throughout the process stands the principle of momentum. Do not allow the duality of the situation to dictate the emotion. Fear, hate, anger are usually emotions which were dictated by the duality of the situation. I leave you with a quote from Nazi Germany. This quote comes to us from Martin Niemöller, who is referencing concentration camps in Nazi Germany. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then, and finally, they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Keep in mind that we are all on this planet together, and that we are all children of the same source. When an individual droplet of water is separated from the ocean, that does not mean it is not still a part of the ocean. We are individual droplets of water that have taken on their own persona and have no remembrance of that once great connection that we had with the ocean. Our goal is to help you understand that you are in this world, but you are not of it. You are an individual droplet, but you are still a part of the entire ocean. The prizes of life we fail to win because we doubt the powers within.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the new world order. You feel it? True world order. The time has come, it's in the air. True world order. Are you ready? True world order. We draw reality everywhere. True world order.
You're listening to the Drew World Order.
It's amazing that I found a song like that, right?
It is a good one.
I was searching to see if maybe you had the show on YouTube.
Where'd you find that song?
On YouTube, it's a song called Drew World Order.
Is that right?
From the album Drew World Order.
Really?
We got a big show today. The gang's all here. We have the Bernie Sanders interview. We got Alienstock, maybe a little Burning Man. A lot of stuff to get to. Hey, it turns out we have a lot of listeners in California, but none from Denmark.
No, huh?
No.
We have some Sweden.
Oh, we do. I'm canceling my trip to Denmark.
Yeah.
Nasty bastards. I wonder if we have any from, what is that? Cupertino, right? It's always nicer in Cupertino on your phone, and they want to show off. You ever get up in the morning, you turn your phone on, and you hit the weather app to check the weather, and you're like, oh, it's going to be beautiful out today, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like, God damn Cupertino. Always perfect there.
We did have a listener from Kazakhstan. I wonder if it's Borat, you know?
Oh, right.
Very nice. How much?
Kazakhstan.
Little Global loves California. He gets, this kid, Red loves it.
Yeah. It's my favorite place. It's great.
So you know what? If anybody from California wants to shoot us an email, I set up an email address yesterday. Our website's not up and running yet, so this will probably be a temporary email for a couple of weeks or so, but you can email us at dwopodcast@gmail.com. Send us over something. You want to talk to Red, he could chew your ear off about California all day.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, maybe your roommate is trying to steal your identity, maybe you're having problems with your girlfriend, whatever it is, shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from you.
And if you go to Cal Berkeley, I believe that's where the professor teaches. He's not in. He'll be here in like 5 or 10 minutes. But
nice. Cal Berkeley.
That's what he says, at least. I've called there once or twice, and they have no record of him, and he calls me a liar, and he gets all pissed off. But you guys can ask him about it.
Red loves California. One time he saw somebody with a California plate over here in New York, and he had a California license at the time.
I chased him down.
And we're in the gas station, and he sees a car with a California plate, and he jumps out of the car, and he starts chasing the person down with his license, and he's like leaning in the door, like just being like, I'm California too, you know? Yeah, so give him a call. He'll chew your ear off all day. Listen to this guy.
Let's go, California. I love California. I love L.A.
Oh, I got to listen for the doorbell. My mural of Jimmy Carter's coming today.
Oh, really?
Mural of Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter in pantyhose. I'm going to hang it right here behind me.
Really?
God. You need to get the one of Nixon bowling from the Big Lebowski and put that next to it, you know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to go review a couple of things from last week. Last week, Red did some polls, which were, the craziest polls I've ever heard in my life. They were more like betting odds.
Yeah.
But listen to this. Now, remember a couple of weeks ago I said to you sound like you were drunk? Listen to this part right here.
So they found this mural that's what I was getting to. Right on, Drew.
Sound like Toby.
So
I think he's drunk.
They're ragging through his place.
These were the
like
worst polls I ever
now.
heard.
So, and they say it's so bizarre. All the different things,
It's
like the
I
little, what are they called? Like,
I don't believe it.
That's a deep fake. What I did.
Sick.
Remember they did that to Nancy Pelosi? They just slowed it down a little bit. But when you slow it down, the voice gets a lot deeper.
Right.
So then I went into the pitch change, and I kept bringing the pitch up. So it kind of sounded more like you again, but just like,
a little drunk.
You know what gave me the idea? I was listening, if you know, on the iTunes podcast app, there's that half speed button. I had a podcast on the other day, somebody else, and I accidentally hit the half speed button. And the person was like, they sounded all drunk, and it reminded me of that.
Why do they have that half speed button? Why would you do that? To just slow it up?
I can't imagine. You know what? There are some people where I've put it on 1.5 and listened to it fast.
Right.
And just kind of speed them up and get through a segment.
Right.
But I can't listen to them slow.
Maybe if it's a really intricate part of something and the guy's talking fast and you know what I mean, you really want to hear what he's saying, maybe that works.
But you got to be careful with anything on the internet today. You can't trust anything.
You have people that are doing podcasts on what do they call it? Peruvian marching powder. So you want to slow it down sometimes because they're just talking really fast, you know?
Right. That's a good one. I never heard that.
There's these new things out called deep fakes. Have you guys heard of that?
Yeah.
No.
Those are weird.
Okay, that's when it's a new type of software that they use where they can, if you have enough video of somebody and enough time of them talking, they can take a video, right, and someone else, I believe the way it works is somebody else talks, and then the video of that person, moves their lips. So they have like fake videos of Obama and this and that.
Right.
So we're at the point now where, and they're getting better and better, where within a year or this next election, you might see videos of people saying stuff, and it's not, you can't even really tell if it's them or not, unless you have special software. And forget about special software, because me and you talked about how people believe memes now. You can't even convince somebody that a meme isn't real. Wait till once they see video, it's going to be a really weird time.
It's gonna be crazy.
Like, listen to this deep fake Obama. And this isn't even a good one. I heard a bad one once before, and I couldn't find it.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, Killmonger was right, or Ben Carson is in the sunken place.
I know you're just listening right now.
How about this? Simply,
but
President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would.
Now, it's not that impressive when you're just listening. I'm going to fade that out. But when you see the video and his lips and all are moving perfect, it's really scary what they could do.
I've heard that there are some people on the not dark web, but in the farther realms of the internet that believe like certain actors and certain politicians and presidents aren't even real, that they are using this technology.
Well, I mean, they definitely could, at this point, if they wanted to release a fake video of Trump making like he's over there, do it over there now. At that point, they could probably do that. I mean, the government, they always say they're 20 years ahead. So they might have been able to do that a while ago.
I have no doubt when Hillary was running for campaign or for office, like several of her news conferences or press conferences were fake. We could spend an episode to break it down, but I could prove it to you. You can tell there's a green screen. Yes, it's like there's two sets. Like it's the people with the phones in front of her are like pointing their phone at her. And the screen, it doesn't even show what is should be in front of. It's obviously like a Hollywood production. It's absolutely
I mean, she could just be green screening or something.
Yeah.
Something like that's possible.
Yeah.
You never know.
Meanwhile, she's in front of a crowd of people, but not really.
You really don't know what you can trust anymore. It's so easy for them to fake you. Okay, a couple of things I just want to go from last week review real quick. When you were talking about Epstein last week, and we were talking about the autopsy, you said consistent with a homicide. And when I was listening in my head, I just assumed you meant suicide. And sometimes I don't even notice something till I listen back. And is that what they said? Or they said consistent with a suicide, right?
Red, you're the one that mentioned the bones broken in his neck.
Yeah.
And
so
they said that injured her. Yeah.
You both said consistent with homicide.
Yes.
Red said it first, and then you repeated them. And I was like, in my mind, I was just assuming suicide. I listened back, and I'm like,
well, with a hanging, and it can be with strangulation. Because that bone definitely is going to get broken with strangulation. So that's very common. But it will also with a rope around your neck.
And I did still search. There's no report of them saying, like, how the body was found. I couldn't find anything on that. The only other thing I wanted to go over was, because sometimes I just say shit. I just talk. My brain sucks. But we were talking about that Russian missile that blew up. And I was saying, I think the treaty just expired. And you had said, no, I think Trump actually canceled it. You were right. Trump did pull us out of that treaty. He made the announcement a few months ago, and it just became active this month. And that's why all of a sudden the United States is sending off some new missiles. Russia's sending off some new missiles. But what's strange now, because I figured, let me fact check myself. This is what I'm trying to do, because a lot of times I just say shit. Let me look this up and look up that treaty. Now, what's odd is it's a mid-range missile treaty. Okay, which means we can still have the long-range missiles. So we have missiles that can go 3,000, 5,000, maybe even 10,000 miles. But we put a ban on nuclear missiles that go from 300 to somewhere around 3,000, something like that, which is a really odd thing to do. Like, okay, you can have the long-range missile. So I guess what were we saying? We don't want Russia to have something where he could just strike the neighbors, but yet he can send one all the way to here. See, some things in my brain don't work too well, don't make so much sense to me. And then I'm like, okay, so this missile was banned under that treaty, which is a mid-range treaty. So why do you need a nuclear-powered missile to only go 300 to 3,000 miles? And then I read up on it, and they did say it would have the capacity to stay up in flight for many, many days or even weeks, which is not mid-range to me. So I don't know. Nothing fucking makes sense to me.
So what does that mean? You talking?
Sounds like a doomsday weapon.
Orbit or something, and just
right.
And
but now how does that fall under the class of a mid-range missile?
And what about, where does that submarine tie in? Because that submarine incident, they were supposedly carrying one of the strongest nuclear bombs on the face of the planet. One that made Albert Einstein quiver in his boots. So what the fuck is going on? Like what are they up to? What are they preparing for? Is this a doomsday scenario? I mean, that's just weird.
I don't know. We got all kinds of crazy ass submarines. All right. Other than that, that's all I got from last week. Remember, we got Bernie interview coming up. We'll take a 2-second break, and then we're going to come back with Drew.
Yes.
Knowledge for you from Mr. Drew. Knowledge for you from Mr. Drew. Mr. Drew brings some knowledge for you. With Nico and Red and the Professor and Herbert Walker Bush and Ted Apple, Nixon, Yoda, and a lot other of plethora of people. Knowledge for you from Mr. Drew. Okay, fine. Let's just fucking start. You're tuned to, I don't know, the Drew World Order. What a clever name. Drew World Order.
All right. The Egyptians, one of the more mysterious cultures on the face of the planet in our history. They seem to focus a lot on the Egyptians and the pyramids and whatnot. And I don't really believe that those people built those pyramids. I think those pyramids have been here a lot longer than any of us can imagine. Egyptian texts repeatedly talk about a singular figure worshipped as the greatest and highest light of the primeval age. And one of his many names, Atum, A-T-U-M, born in the abyss before the sky existed, before the earth existed. The pyramid tick, perhaps the world's oldest religious hymns, as opposed to the Sumerian tablets that talk about the oldest records. These religious hymns talk about a time when Atum stood alone in the sky. I came into being of myself in the midst of the primeval waters, states the god in the famed Book of the Dead. How does this tie into ancient Sumer? These gods of Egypt were the gods of Sumer. Each locality in Egypt, they possessed their own special representative of the father god. To some, he was Horus, the god who came first into being when no other god had yet come into existence. Other traditions knew him as Re, R-E. Different local names of primeval deity. Then we start getting into the connection to On, which was the great father of the sky in Sumer. The pictograph sign, which repeatedly appears in Egypt, which represents their father, supreme god. The pictograph is the same exact signal or symbol, which represents Anu, the father of the gods, the central light at the universe summit, god of terrifying splendor, who governed from his throne in the cosmic sea, Apsu. This gentleman, On, as we talked about, was the father to Enki and Enlil. The Sumero-Babylonian pantheon is filled with competing figures of the primordial creator, and we talked about that last week. But Egypt pulled all of their gods, as did the Hebrews, the Greeks, the Persians, the Hindus, the Chinese, mysticism, all of them. All their creation stories are derived from Mesopotamian traditions in the solitary creator, which parallels that, aligning to all their different deities and whatnot. I found a fantastic book this week. It's called The Saturn Myth. It's by David Talbert. And this is like 4 books in a week that I've opened and got like 50 pages in, Garden of Eden's being the last one. But Egypt didn't start with Egypt. Egypt got everything they know from somewhere. Where they got it from was Sumer.
They all talk about the gods. It's always plural. You see that same connection with the name of Adam. Things get passed on from the Adam and Eve story. It's the first time we've seen the name Adam so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is that? What is it? The Sphinx? They do say that the Sphinx was there. That they have evidence that the Sphinx is way, way older than at least the pyramid. So they don't seem to have any evidence that the pyramids are older. But the Sphinx, they say it was changed. Archaeologists can tell by how much water ran over it and how old the friggin' sand is, however they do it. Most people do believe that's, I don't know exactly how many more thousands of years, but I think it was 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years older than the pyramids.
Did you know that there is a lake, a body of water beneath the pyramids? I can't remember which one it is. The Giza pyramid? Yeah,
there's water under there.
There's water underneath it. I just watched a documentary on that last week. Also,
Really?
the Sphinx. Why is there an Egyptian Sphinx located in Rome at, what do they call it? The Vatican. It's in that square. There's a several thousand-year-old Egyptian Sphinx, which is standing upright in the middle of the Vatican Roman Catholic Church. I've never understood that. And as far as symbolism, the Sphinx represents the male energy.
Don't they say, I'm sorry to interrupt, I think they say that it used to have a completely different face on it. And then it wore away, and then it was changed, right?
I'm thinking about the Washington Monument. You're talking about the Sphinx. Good God.
Right. Oh, yeah, I'm talking about the Sphinx. I'm sorry, yeah.
That's my fault.
Because they say that...
It's been a long 2 days.
Yeah.
Right, but don't they say that had worn away and it's something, and then they think that a later civilization carved the new face on it or something?
Yes.
Yeah. It used to be an animal or something, and now it's or whatever it is. There's people that believe that the Grand Canyon is an ancient Sphinx.
Really?
Which aligns up really well with the 1909 article in an Arizona newspaper that talks about 2 Smithsonian archaeologists who came across an Egyptian catacomb in the Grand Canyon where they found mummies, artifacts, caverns that could house 50,000 people, barracks, fantastic stuff. And this was in 1909. Now, there's no record of these 2 archaeologists, but was it a hoax? That's a pretty elaborate hoax. You cannot get to this part of the Grand Canyon today. The Smithsonian owns that portion where they claim catacomb or this lost civilization.
They found something down there.
Yeah, in 1909, which would...
I wonder if that's where the UFO was dug up.
Yeah.
Supposedly, the Area 51 story is that, no, it wasn't a crash, or at least one of them wasn't, but one of them were excavated somewhere. what's the guy's name that says he worked at Area 51? Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he actually says. He said, no, the one I worked on was not a crash, but supposedly it was excavated somewhere many years ago, and they thought it was buried for thousands and thousands of years.
That's an archaeological discovery, because he refers to it that, doesn't he? He refers to it as like an archaeological find.
Yeah.
Huh.
Which I thought was interesting, and it sounded a little more believable to me. Not to get off subject, I always had a hard time believing that you could have this advanced race civilization, and they could get in a ship, and they could cross the entire universe, and then get to Earth and fucking crash.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? You made it all the way here, and then you crashed?
Yeah.
Maybe they were shot down.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just going to say. Yeah. Were they shot down? But then you think if they're that advanced,
I know, but it's always called a crash. And if they're that advanced, I don't know if we could shoot them down.
Yeah, like they don't have some sort of like barrier that we can't, even, you know what I mean? Or the material is just.
Star Trek has the shields, shields up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, force fields and stuff. Dude, who knows? Like, you're talking about Solar Warden now, and the Solar Warden, which explains where the $20 trillion has gone that we're all in debt to.
The black budget.
Yeah, exactly. So this is interesting. I found this in the Saturn myth, the rites of kingship. The ritual surrounding ancient kings amounts to a summary of ancient beliefs about the universal monarch, the right to rule because of bloodline. Local sovereign was a successor and representative of the great god who ruled the world during the Golden Age. I'm reading directly from Mr. Talbot's book. The rights of kingship testify to the enormous power which the collective memory of this god-king held over later generations. The collective memory, the collective consciousness which occupied the family or the monarch. He talks about basically, do not be mistaken. The right to rule comes from that connection and bloodline which resides within God. Like, they are God's chosen people, the descendants, they are the representatives. Yeah. I mean, and this is squaring up directly with the Sumerian tablets and everything we've been talking about in the last few weeks about how this alien race seeded life on Earth left their administrators in charge to rule God's creation. I mean, there's just so many parallels.
That's to rule us, technically.
Yeah.
When we talk about the many bloodlines, and I think I may have asked you this once before, but now are all of the bloodlines basically white? Now, because you always hear about these different alien species, and I was trying to compare the different alien species stories that we hear now.
So I have a list of alien species for you today. We'll talk about that next.
You have the Nordics, the white ones, right? That's like red. Yeah. Red would be like a Nordic alien.
Scandinavian.
Right? And then you have the lizard, or the reptilians. That's a different race. Now, I think, is there an Asian one? Like, who's the Asian god? I think they came from a different creator. I'm just thinking. I don't know.
I think that as a white male myself, I can attest the Anglo-Saxon Empire, especially white men, seems to have, and I don't mean to sound racist against my own people or my own kind, but we are all God's children. There isn't racism is. The very idea of race is an illusion.
Not to get into religion, but I believe in the many God theory. So just saying you're from that God doesn't necessarily mean you're better. You're just from a different God.
But the white males have imposed a lot of tyranny on the planet in the course of history. I mean, I don't think you can argue with that. The Anglo-Saxon male, the white male. Look at the Rothschilds. They're all fucking white male. The Bush family. For the most part, it seems like the bloodline is of white European, I guess, Anglo-Saxon descendant, which came from the Caucasus Mountains and Sumer and whatnot.
There's no real connection because the Indian culture also talks about gods, and they talk about the warring factions, and there was that war between their god and some other god. There's even evidence that there was some kind of a nuclear explosion out there in the desert. So that's a whole nother series.
Just like different names for the same gods,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
This is from Alex Collier, who is I don't know how to refer to him. He says that he has contact with the Arcturians, and this is some of the ET races he talks about. The amphibians, semi-intelligent creatures who have been known to attack people without provocation. The Anakim, the giants, the Andromedans. He says that they are friendly. They are here to help us. This is from in5d.com/characteristics of ET races. You have the Arcturus, the Ariani, the Bellatrix, the Blues, the Deros, the Taros, and then you can get into the Archon network, The Archon network has the reptilians, the lizzies, the insectoids, the whites.
Okay, so you have a more detailed list than I looked at.
Now, the Archons is very interesting. The Archons, in 1945, I believe, they discovered...
And what do they look like, the Archons? Sorry.
The Archons basically are described as interdimensional parasites. They are... that feed off of human low vibrational energy that reside in the lower fourth plane. They can interact with our frequency from time to time through ritual and other low vibrational emotion.
Okay, so we don't have a visual representation of what they look like.
Well, they're described as reptilian
more of the ones
in
that
nature.
People have seen, like there's the Nordic ones that look like the blonde-haired, blue-eyed.
Well, the Gnostics described the Archons.
And then the Greys, of course, I think the Greys are synthetic
yes.
bots just being sent here to explore.
So what do they say they look like, Drew?
Okay, so basically the Gnostics, anytime you hear, like even Credo Mutwa, who talks about the Chituhari, the children of the serpent, with David Icke, those interviews are fascinating. They all describe these Archons, these Anunnaki, these reptilians as of like tall lizard-like people. They're like lizard reptile hybrids, human hybrids. And that's really what they all people from different cultures and all over the planet. And here we have again another example of the Archons, which were, I guess they discovered these texts in 1945. These tablets and these scrolls are from a little over 1300 AD. So they talk about the same thing that the Sumerian tablets talk about, this Archon, these parasites that live. Right. And it's interesting. They say that, so the people that run the world, they have no ability. If they have no empathy, that means they cannot value life. And if you can't value life, they have no idea how to create life, how to create anything. They are here to parasite off of the creation of us. That's what they do. They can't. If you give them
so nasty.
Yeah, they're just. They are literally they're parasites.
Nasty woman.
Yeah, nasty women. Like they're probably from Denmark.
And you look at our society, everything.
Bastards.
eBay has to get their percentage. The Federal Reserve is a parasite organization. Every organization, it seems like, except for this platform, because we don't run ads. I took ads off just because I want people to enjoy the substance of our conversation and not have to listen to ads. But everybody has to get their fucking cut. There's a parasite everywhere,
We are the chosen ones.
That's right. And it's fascinating you say that.
We are the chosen ones here to spread the word.
Yes.
Everybody gets paid, right?
Anyway, I tell you what, sorry to interrupt, guys. We got to take a 2-second break. Hey, I tell you what, before we go out, another phone call this morning. Telemarketer called me. The Social Security scam. So they called me. I had a little fun with them. I'll play you this. We'll take a 2-second break, and then we'll come back.
Social Security Administration, how can I help you?
Hello.
Yes. Hello?
I'm returning your call. You called me this morning about my number might have been stolen or something.
We are looking for Nicola.
Pretend I'm all paranoid.
Right now, sir, you have reached to the Social Security, and this is Officer Lisa Martin. Did you receive any case number or any reference number during the call?
I didn't get to hear the whole message.
Okay.
I got disconnected
so
in the call,
that case,
but I did hear it was Social Security, and then I figured I'd call you back.
Okay. So in that case, I will go ahead and read out the legal information.
For Social Security
purpose, kindly go ahead and verify your date of birth and your social. Your date of birth?
8/31, 1968.
8/31, and which year?
1968. I don't want my roommate to hear me. 68.
And your social?
05591.
I start telling him my roommate.
35591.
Yeah, 5541. I gotta keep it down. I think my roommate is stealing my identity.
35591, and what is the last 4-digit number?
5541. I think my roommate stole my identity. He's even wearing the same clothes as me now. He died like a roommate. I think he's trying to steal my identity. I gotta keep it down.
So is it you're trying to tell me that 9101 is the last number?
No, 5541.
Okay, 9901, right?
5541.
5541.
41.
Okay, I'll repeat that. 355915541.
I think my roommate stole my identity.
Give me a moment.
Let me verify your social. Listen.
Yeah, then she actually hung up. I think she knew I was messing with her.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. It's fun stuff.
That's sick.
Fun stuff. All right, we'll see you in a minute, guys.
She be high off the dope, dancing naked on the boat. Burberry my coat, this that lean, not no coke. Take the boat to the water so clear, can see the bottom. This here right here, not drama. Ayy, chillin' my pajamas on. 14 hours in Miami on a boat, chillin' with some model bitches, yeah for sure. Had a bottle on me, smoking on some dope. Had my niggas lay with me, we was turning up for show. Ride out with your bitch all in the late night. Took her to the dock, just to see the yachts. Then I got on, I'm a nigga on the boat. Yeah, she ride my way, yeah, nice and slow. Got drunk on a boat, turn up with my little bro. Like I said, Mike, yeah, I know you hear me though. We be on the lit, late night, turn it on a boat. Like I said, I was in Miami on a boat.
All right, welcome back, guys. We're not going to keep you waiting any longer. If you listened last week, you remember we had the Bernie interview coming up this week, and here we are.
Mr. Bernie Sanders, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for being with us. How are you today, sir?
Hello. Oh, this is Drew?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How you doing? So, you're a friend of Darby's. Where you know him from?
I know him from Storm Lake, Iowa. He's been a big fan of yours
always yelling,
for years,
Bernie.
and I'm glad that he's able to work for your campaign, sir.
That's great. I'm a big fan of his. He's been doing a wonderful job. So I understand you have a podcast.
I do. It's actually about the real state of the world, sir, and I'd like to talk to you today a little bit.
That is wonderful. And let me tell you why. We need more independent broadcasters like yourself to stand up to the media and the big corporations controlling everything. And that's why we are going to start a podcast revolution.
Yeah, thank you. I completely agree, and this is a tremendous honor for me. I'm a little bit nervous right now, as you can tell.
It's an honor for me.
Well, thank you, sir. Can you talk a little bit? Are you anti-New World Order, Mr. Sanders?
Yes, let me tell you what. The people are sick and tired of the 99.99999% controlling 99.99999% of the money in this world. And the people have had it. And that's why we are going to start a revolution.
How's the campaign doing, sir?
Campaign going wonderful. And let me tell you what. All across the country, with small donations. You know the average donation that we take is only $27.999999639. That's it. We are not taking super PAC money. It's small donations all across this country.
Yes, that is by far the lowest of any of the candidates, Republican or Democrat. Speaking of some of the candidates, this current administration, what do you see is the biggest issue with the current administration, and what do you hope to change?
Oh, my God. Where do I begin? This administration is full of corruption, and they are taking big money from all the corporations and the lobbyists. And you understand that 99.99999% of all the money in the tax break went to the 0.000111111%. 1% of the people.
That is appalling.
You hold on 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Jerry, can you get me a coffee? No whole milk. 0.011. 0.001% milk here. Thank you.
Mr. Sanders, I have a professor, history of accounting here. He would like to ask you some economic questions, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead. I have a few more minutes, but put them on. I'd love to talk to the professor.
Mr. Sanders, how are you today, sir?
Oh, hello, Professor. How are you?
I am doing well. I am on your website, and it says that you wish to make all college debt previous, past and present. You want to outline it. Well, I have a question for you, sir.
Yes, we do. And let me tell you how we're going to pay for it. Let me tell you, okay? Wall Street transactions. If we put just a 0.0011% tax on every Wall Street transaction, we would be able to pay for all the education.
I'm a little bit confused. I don't see anywhere on your website. I see fight for LGBTQ equality, fight for women's rights, criminal justice. Where the fuck are the free diapers? Where's the diaper reform, sir?
Diaper reform? How do you know I wear a diaper?
Well, I didn't, but is it the
Darby,
Huggies?
Darby, did you tell him I wear a diaper?
Mr. Sanders, I am so sorry. That is, please forgive me, and we are so sorry.
There's no problem.
Well, I would just have to say that this has been fascinating. Whether or not I vote for you is irrelevant. You are the burn. And do you mind if I say it, sir? Do you mind if I say I feel the burn?
Feel the burn. Feel the burn.
It feels good to say it, I will say.
Feel the burn. Well, it was very nice meeting you. I wish you all the luck with your podcast. And remember, you're going to start a podcast revolution.
He's a pisser, Bernie, right?
Yeah, wow.
I love him.
Shout out to Darby herself for getting us that interview. We appreciate it, Darby.
That's wild.
I love him. He's a wild guy. He's always excited, you know.
Stuff.
I like him.
All right, so Red, you were going to do...
Yeah.
Do you want me to play your call first, or you want to do your story first?
You can play the call, yeah.
Hello?
Yes, hi. This is Area 51.
What?
This is Storm Area 51. We're calling to see if you'd be attending the festival in Nevada. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hi. Sorry, we got disconnected. This is Michael from Storm Area 51. We're calling to see if you'd be attending the festival in Nevada.
Oh, that sounds like fun, actually.
It really does,
right?
No, we're not going to be attending.
Okay, because we're just checking a bunch of numbers. Did you actually go online and RSVP? That's why.
I don't think so.
Okay, because that's why we're calling. You sound like you didn't know about it. That's why I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, no, I did hear about it, but we're not going to be attending.
Okay. All right, great. I was just giving you a shout to find out. Thank you.
He was real nice to her, though.
Thank you.
You know,
Bye.
he just said, all right.
Bye. Like, totally.
We're just randomly
She was too
checking to
sweet.
see.
Oh my God, like, is there a Starbucks there? Like, I hope, like, totally.
We got the Storm Area 51 coming up, right? I think it's September 20th. And as of, I don't know, like 2 days ago, 3 million people RSVP to this. And I made a call. I also made a call to the Little Alien Inn.
The hotel over there. Yeah,
it's the hotel in Rachel, Nevada, the Little Alien. And I spoke to the owner there. And she's telling me that the hotel is booked for that week. They're expecting right now, she's thinking 30,000 people minimum. This is what she says.
Yeah, she said 30 to 50 in that
30 to 50, right? Yeah, you heard that. 30 to 50. And
yeah.
And then she went to the town meeting the other day where they just made a declaration of emergencies, you know, because they're going to need help. If anybody, if they say if 5,200 people come to this town, they're screwed.
Right.
Because there's like 6 cops. You know, there's only...
But it's all public land, so people are just going to be camping out all over the place.
Right. Well, that's another issue. You can't be leaving garbage. You can't.
So did you tell them what happened? Why don't you tell them what happened at the end of that phone call?
So as I make that phone call, you know, I'm on the phone, and just as I was, you know, calling the number, dialing, I was doing other pranks before that. But anyway, so I decided to do that, and I had to pee, and I peed in a cup in the studio. So it's sitting
gross.
up here, right? And I had just finished the soda in there with ice. So it was on the rocks. So I peed on the ice. So it's sitting there, and I'm on the phone with the woman.
We have this on video.
I'm on the phone with the woman, and, you know, we're talking about it. And it was supposed to be a prank, but I really didn't go there because it got interested, and I'm listening to her. So I'm dying in here, and I go and grab the glass, and I go, you know, and I drink the urine. So we have a copy of that, and in the videos coming up, guys.
That's going to go up on Twitter.
It's actually a good way to, you know, like flush your system. I will do it several times a year with Mother Teresa.
I heard.
So anyway, the Storm Area 51 thing.
Yeah.
It's not actually Storm Area 51 anymore.
Well, no, they changed.
The government came down on that.
Yeah.
It's been changed, right. And what the guy's doing now, he said, all right, I had all these people. He admitted it was a joke, the Storm Area 51. Now he's turning it into a festival, and it's called Alienstock, right? It's like a Woodstock thing.
But they said, like if you take like Burning Man, you know, on a project like this type of, at this level, it takes at least 18 months to plan. Okay, with bands and everything. All right, a Burning Man, the
Burning Man,
or the Fire Festival, which the guy's in jail right now. That takes 18 months to plan. This guy's only got a month,
couple of months. Yeah,
no, 1 month,
and that's it.
A couple of weeks to do this, and it might not. I don't know. I have a feeling this guy's going to go to prison. His name is Matty. His name is Matty Roberts.
Hey, Mike. So Red sent him an email.
Yeah.
About Little Global performing there, going up and doing a rap on stage at Alienstock.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I haven't gotten a response yet, but
that group is messing with two organizations you definitely don't want to fuck with. That's Area 51 and number 2, the Bureau of Land Management. Those fuckers. Right. That's one of the most ruthless. They're more ruthless than the IRS, dude.
Right. But you're allowed to camp on the land, though. Even the woman at the hotel said it's public land, so you're allowed to dry dock.
She did say that.
There's stories. Yeah. Well, a few years ago, a year or two ago, it seemed like the Bureau of Land Management was killing somebody almost every week. I mean, there was the Bundy family from Oregon. When was that, a year or two ago? We'll have to look into the Bureau of Land Management. It's fascinating.
Yeah, we got to check that out.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy shit goes out there in the middle of the country.
Did you guys know we got an Area 52?
Well, I figured I came after 51, right? Where is it?
Yeah. Well,
and how close is it to Dulce, New Mexico?
Well, that's what they say. Well, some people believe it's under 51 because there's evidence of so much dirt removal from that area, and they had to get rid of the dirt. So so they did an interview with T.D. Barnes, who worked 37 years at Area 51. And he said for sure that definitely has evidence of removing massive amounts.
They always go underground.
Right. So they're definitely underground. Now they're saying 52. Some people say it's in Nevada, but the interesting thing about this is that they're saying that there's a high-speed train.
Yeah. It travels like 2,000 miles an hour.
Yeah. That goes from Vegas and all the way out to Utah. Yep. And it's that big.
From New York you could get from the East Coast to the West Coast in about an hour, they say.
Nice.
Yeah, and they say this is in operation. It's going now, and so 52 is where.
No reason why they can't do that.
52 is where all the aliens are. Okay, that's what they're saying. 51 was really just a ploy. So you would think they were there, but they're really in 52.
So the people that really have security clearance are working at Area 52. A very, very few who have probably interaction with the extraterrestrial entities that are on our planet. Whether you want to believe it or not, they are here.
I'm starting to believe, Drew.
Dulce, New Mexico. Well, Area 51 has a runway that's over a mile long. What the fuck kind of plane do you need or vehicle do you need for a runway that long?
Yeah.
And then
it's for testing and stuff. So you would it doesn't seem that strange that they would have an extra long one.
It's also ironically it's involved with Montauk. There was a base out there.
Yeah,
you got to look this up. Montauk, Long Island, Nick. Right. Okay, it's now the national park where the lighthouse is and stuff. That was a military base. It has something to
I've been out to that base.
Yeah, it has something to do with 52.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know the logistics. I'll look into it more.
What's the name of the little island right off of Montauk? Plum Island.
Yes.
Plum Island is where they do all of the testing with like
they have all the animals and stuff. Yeah.
Animal disease and genetic.
Oh no, they moved that to Manhattan, Kansas. That's literally about 2 hours west of me now. They took it from out in the fucking ocean and moved it to the middle of the fucking country.
That doesn't make sense because Plum Island was a perfect place. It's a little island right off the tip of Montauk. And that was in my favorite movie of all time, The Silence of the Lamb.
Right.
Remember when he says, I want to walk the beach and stuff? He goes to Plum Island.
Can't walk the beach. You probably disintegrate if you do.
This facility now is being built on the campus of Kansas State University. There's a wreck. You can see the wreck from, you walk out of the rec center with a student rec, and across the street is a federal facility, the National Agro-Bio Research Facility on the campus of Kansas State University.
Wow.
And so you guys are talking, anytime you refer to an underground military structure or base, it's called a DUM, Deep Underground Military Base. There are about 26 of them in America, about 3 times more than everywhere else on the fucking planet. Wow. Why do we have these DUMs? The Denver International Airport, Dulce, all of them.
Right. That brings up something about 52. So here's what they say. It's a zipper, in the landscape. And when that zipper opens, there's an underground runway that appears. Okay, and then it's re-zipped up, and the landscape appears as a desert.
There's a zipper in the ground.
There's a zipper in the ground, and this is how it works. I never heard of Check it out, 52 guys.
We need to Google Earth Area 52.
All right.
Yeah, and
Red's going to start something new. It's Storm Area 52.
Yeah, let's get it.
Even better. It's one better.
Why do we talk about stuff like this? You know, I mean, it's interesting, number one, but
it's
cool. And like, our goal is to get people to, hey, maybe you have a different awareness or attitude or perception about something you didn't have yesterday. That's how the human race is going to evolve. That's how consciousness evolves. You know, we don't want you to believe everything we say. We want you to go look at it and try to shoot our argument down, which we have tried to do. But the things that we say are what we resonate to. And we just want people to maybe look at things from a perspective that you've never even thought about looking at them from. The definition of insanity, as Albert Einstein said, is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. You know?
A little bit of a hippie mindset. I love it. Because I told you I'm a
guys,
hippie.
and we need comments.
And I thought he was going to be real conservative being in Kansas, but he's more of a hippie.
It's true. He is.
Which reminded me, when you mentioned the Alienstock the other day, it reminded me of Burning Man. And I had heard a bunch about Burning Man on, I think it was on another podcast, Joe Rogan. And it just sounded so cool, but I never kind of researched it and looked into it. So I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube, and it's a whole week long. It's the same thing. It's the end of August. I think it starts on around the 28th, ends right after Labor Day. So it's 7 days out in the desert. It's total like hippie people. There's all kinds of like art and light shows every night. It's something that I really have to do with my life. Now, give me 1 second. I don't usually read much, but I did want to read one thing.
But guys, we need some comments. Comment on these things, all right? Get back to us. Let us know what you're thinking.
Burning Man is held on land owned by the Bureau of Land Management, too.
So that's the nightmare. Well, they say they left it. This is what he's saying on the website, too. He's saying...
Oh, here it is, right there, right in front of my face.
Let's leave the land better than when we got here. He's got to, because he's going to get in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, well, that's one of the principles. So I wanted to read what's called the 10 Principles. The Late Summer Event is an experiment in community and art influenced by 10 main principles: radical inclusion, radical self-reliance, radical self-expression, communal effort, civic responsibility, gifting, decommodification, participation, and leave no trace. And there's a link on decommodification because I have no idea what it meant. Decommodification is the strength of social entitlements and citizens' degree and immunization from market dependency.
Bartering system.
Decommunification, in regards to the labor force, describes degree in which individual or families can uphold a socially acceptable standard of living independently of market participation. I love it.
I do too. Sounds like they're saying fuck fiat currency.
When I read these 10 things, it's like everything I believe. I am going to Burning Man.
I didn't hear, was LSD on that list? I didn't hear that.
Oh, I'm sure these people are all tripping.
That's probably just a given, like, oh, that's in the contract.
When you watch the videos of the people, they're all, and I love hippies, man. They're all so loving. They're helping each other. They're all taking care of each other. They're eating mushrooms and they're watching laser light shows out in the desert every night. Oh, it's
the exact opposite of how society is handled day in, day out. And as Michael...
there's no reptilians there.
Right you are.
Every one of them have empathy.
Right you are, Ken. Right you are.
I begged it. Yeah.
Michael Elner, the fantastic quote from Michael Elner. Look at us. Look at everything we do. Everything we do is backwards. Lawyers destroy justice. Doctors destroy health. Universities destroy education. Religions destroy spirituality. That's the world we live in right now. That's the Archon's construct, or that's the Archon's creation, I mean.
But you can live your life, your individual life, the way you choose.
Yep.
Right. And you don't have to get sucked into that system.
Just like we said last week, like let no other person allow yourself to perceive how you think, do, and see, your uniqueness. The only way you can save the world...
Peace and love.
There's too many people out there that fucking cannot stand themselves, that like just wage a 24-hour war on themselves. And you stand no chance saving the world from a mindset persistent in disliking yourself. You know what I mean?
Yes. It makes sense, Drew. It makes sense.
But on the other hand, you have to love yourself before you can accept the world, but you must not love yourself beyond that, which exemplifies
Everybody
selflessness.
but those fucking nasty Danish.
Okay, so I want to get on to the next story here. Okay, we got Elon Musk. Okay, he wants, you know how he wants to nuke Mars so we can get up there, because soon as he nukes that, right, it'll melt the ice, creating oceans, life form, boom, right, heating it up.
Some people think there's already life on Mars.
But people think there's already life on Mars, right? I know. So now what is the story? What do we got here? What is this? Help us figure this out.
I hope to God they don't nuke Mars, because they will kill the people that are on Mars.
We're going to be doing a whole episode on that soon.
Well, Drew, you might have a point, because now Elon Musk is saying, hey, you know what? I don't want to nuke it anymore. I want to fly up some satellites. Okay.
And take a look.
No, not take a look. Satellites that'll radiate the heat onto Mars, which will heat it up.
Well, he should just go to the portions of Mars that have vegetation, lakes, water, cities. I mean, dude,
right.
Mars is occupied.
We have to save this, because this is going to be a whole episode on Mars.
Okay.
The only thing I'll say on Mars is Project Pegasus. Andrew Basiago. And we will get back into this. We will get back into the JPL, the Curiosity rover, all that shit.
Yeah.
Next week, Project Pegasus.
Okay.
And then the last thing I got is, we thought she was gone, but she's not. Sarah Sanders is coming back. She's going to be on Fox News.
Get out.
Yep, she's going to be a contributor on Fox News starting September.
She's nasty too.
September something. So we can still look at her big head.
Yeah, she scares the shit out of me.
Me too.
She really does. She's so mean.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like to look at her.
Sarah Sanders.
I don't know. I would not argue. If I was at the press conference, I would just be like, okay, whatever you say, you're right.
Is that Huckabee's daughter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But she's very tough.
I think she played college football.
Yeah, I think so. She's real tough.
Did you say steak?
Well, I want to thank Bernie Sanders for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Feel the burn.
Oh, wait, no, Professor, hold on a minute. There was one more news story that the professor, you said you had to do one story quick?
This is breaking news. You're never going to see breaking news. And surely shit, somebody's calling my History of Accounting phone right now when I had the story pulled up. It was a groundbreaking news story, gentlemen. Let me pull it up on here. It was about Peter Jennings. Not really. It was about Ted Koppel. And as you both know, do you guys know who Ted Koppel is, right?
Of course, you talk about him every episode.
Okay, well, that's my bad. All right, here we go. Ted Koppel is a fuckstick. And this story, well, it might be 2 years old, but it's still breaking news. Veteran newsman Ted Koppel tells Sean Hannity...
Professor, how is it breaking news if it's 2 years old?
Well, it's because it involves Ted. I don't know. I don't really like Sean Hannity either. Basically, it's a fuckstick telling another fuckstick, you're bad for America, you fuckstick. Coming from a fuckstick. I thought that was breaking news.
Yeah, it sounds pretty breaking to me.
Yes.
So Ted Koppel says that Hannity's bad for America?
Yes, he told him to his face that he was bad for America, and then Sean Hannity cried.
Little bitch.
And then I cried when Sean Hannity laughed at Koppel and told him that he had a terrible toupee. And I was like, oh, you're cynical, Hannity said. I am cynical, Koppel responded. What an asshole.
All right, Professor, thank you.
Okay.
Red, thank you. Little Global, thank you. Drew, thank you. And we'll see you next week.
Necesito